Yeah. Hey, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Art Tipaldi. I'm the editor of Blues Music Magazine. We'd like you to go check us out online at bluesmusicmagazine.com or check out our Facebook page for subscription details and other things you can get through the magazine. Tonight here at Don Odells Legends, we have one of the fine vocalists in the blues, one of the fine harmonica players in the blues, one of the fine entertainers in the blues, as evidenced by the fact that he's been nominated for over 20 Blues Music Awards, including 5, I think, for Entertainer of the Year. Is that right?
Wow.
Yes, it's right. I did my research.
Well, yeah,
so, ladies and gentlemen,
fantastic.
say hello to John Nemeth here.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
How are you all doing?
Good. So, right now you're riding with 2 CDs that you're sort of not promoting, but you've had out for a few years. One of them being Feeling Freaky, and the other one being the Love Light Orchestra that you are the main vocalist on. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between those 2 projects?
Yeah, so the Feeling Freaky project, that's an all-original music concept, and that's a record that is probably the deepest record I've made to date, and it's a lot of fun to write that record. I actually wrote it in probably about 4 to 6 weeks. I wrote all the material, and I was in between tours, and we had a lot of fun putting the album together. And just you know, a lot of like instant inspiration music, you know.
Yeah.
And produced it down in Mississippi with Luther Dickinson.
Oh, right. Yep.
And that band is the Blue Dreamers. That's Danny Banks and Matthew Wilson and Johnny Rhodes on guitar at the time. And then we added Mark Franklin and Art Edmonston from the Greg Allman Band. They were playing horns with Greg Allman at the time. And Charles Hodges, the organ player from the High Rhythm section. And that was a great record. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Well, I called it a message record because the first song on there is a pretty socially relevant message about guns.
Yeah.
And you know, something obviously touched you about the situation in our world.
Oh yeah.
And what's the response been to that song?
Yeah, it's been about 50-50, honestly.
Yeah.
There's about 50% of the people that like the song, you know, and then another 50% that they don't like the tune.
Okay.
I don't know why people don't like things. I don't necessarily know why people like things either.
Right.
But you know, I think as a blues artist, you know, social commentary is a big part of the music.
Sure.
And the use of innuendo and idioms and things like that, you know, that are relevant at the time.
Right. Yeah.
And so yeah, I guess, you know, that album does have the album represents things that are going on right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's in the present.
Yep.
You know, at the moment.
And I thought, you know, as I was listening to it again today for our talk, I thought, you know, a lot of these songs are no different from the soul music that had messages back in the 60s or the blues music that had messages going all the way back to the Charlie Pattons and the Robert Johnsons. So, you know, and we'll get to the Love Light in a minute. We'll stay here if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But what I love about John Nemeth is 90% of what you record, you write.
Yes.
Maybe almost 100%. So you've got
you've
got an ownership in everything, going right back to your earliest stuff on Blind Pig, etc. How difficult is it to write those songs and keep them with the traditions of soul and blues within those traditions?
Well, for me, it's the music I really love so much, and I really love the language, you know, of soul and blues, and So being in the style isn't an issue, but just writing a good song is.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and what I like about those songs is that they're very relatable to people, because there's songs that are relevant at different times, and always relevant in a lot of ways.
Right.
You know, I mean, that song "Under the Gun." Well, I mean, that song can go back to the beginning.
Exactly.
Right?
To the first gun.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, writing timeless pieces is tricky. I think you really have to get into the basic element of being, a human.
Yeah. Right.
All the things you need to survive.
Sure. Does it make it? I shouldn't say that. I probably know the answer to this, but to write songs that you're going to deliver, is that sort of the reason why you chose to write these stories on all your records, because they're your stories and you're the singer?
Yeah, and a lot of them are. Yeah. A lot of them are. Some songs are stories about other people, and some songs are about my personal feelings.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they change, different songs to different songs, but I do love the wisdom side of soul music.
Yes.
And I guess that's always been something that's grabbed me from the very beginning of that style, and you can tell the importance of the music. I mean, lives depended on it.
That's right. And you just said the wisdom of soul music. Now we can move into your other project, the Love Light Orchestra.
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers what that's all about?
Well, Love Light Orchestra is a band that's a tribute band to the Memphis music in the 50s and 60s, with the big band blues of B.B. King, Little Junior Parker, Bobby Blue Bland,
Yep.
and especially with an emphasis on a lot of the music that was cut with the Duke Records.
Oh yeah, out of Houston.
Band, and in that style. We have Buddy Ace. We do some Buddy Ace, and we also do some Ray Charles and some Percy Mayfield, and we have some originals, and we're working on some new songs right now. But that album is the band's great.
Oh God!
Some of those musicians had worked with Bobby Blue Bland, so they were very lucky to work with Bobby. And for me as a vocalist, having musicians that have already worked with the greatest of blues singers, is terrific for me, because I can just walk right in.
Right. Yeah.
And our first record was a live record. We only had a handful of gigs before that was cut.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was cut in a little club.
Yeah.
In places overly sold, and people were just crawling over everybody, and it's amazing, know. This great producer produced the record, Matt Ross Spang. He just had a feature in Rolling Stone magazine.
Wow, pretty cool. I hope he mentioned the article, the album in that.
He's been telling people about it. So, maybe we'd like to get that band out on the road and do some more shows.
Yeah. When you're doing that and you're doing other people's songs, Johnny Ace or especially Bobby Blue Bland, do you feel somewhat confined to sound as close to them as possible, or as a vocalist, is there room for John Nemeth to?
Yeah, I just do my thing.
To do your thing.
I mean, I think within the arrangement, the way it's set up, it will naturally lead you places that the original vocalist sang them, and that's probably a big reason why you also chose the song, because of the delivery of the vocalist and the song itself. But really, I just treat every song like a melody, and a story. And I just sing it the way I'm going to sing it, because that's the only way I can do it the best.
Right.
But I really like getting into the songs. The songs are really well written.
Yeah,
I mean, the materials is fantastic, and so it's just as fun for me to do the Love Light gig as any other gig.
Right.
You know, even though it is a tribute band.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm able to do it like I like to do it.
Right.
And the people dig it.
Oh, yeah. I saw you do it last year before the BMAs down in Memphis.
Oh, great.
Jeez, and I was like, I mean, that was the highlight for me. Well, I shouldn't say that. The highlight for me was that and the Bobby Blue Bland tribute that happened at BB's on
also
Friday.
great, yeah.
I mean, talk about two bookends of pure heaven.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
You know, just it really is kind of nice to see these opportunities where vocalists can show, where vocalists are being showcased instead of guitar players playing 500 notes a minute are being showcased. You know, to get to hear the song and see the emotion being put into the singing of those classic songs.
Yeah.
Were you a singer first or a harmonica player
Singer.
first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was singing
Growing
ever
up?
since I was, you know, able to, you know, grasp the concept.
Okay.
So I've probably been singing since I was 1 or 2 years old.
Right. And when did blues? You grew up in Idaho, one of the most unlikeliest of blues locales. When did blues and soul become part of your DNA?
I think, you know, probably from the very beginning. I think all the great music that I was able to listen to as a kid, growing up in the late '70s, born in the mid '70s, '75, and you know, the music on the radio was pretty darn amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you had everybody from, you know, Stevie Wonder,
Right.
you know,
to
Van Halen, to Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty far out, you know, and really great jazz and blues on the radio. My parents listened to. So my dad would wake up every morning. He would play Hungarian gypsy music, blast that stuff.
Yeah.
And that is wild music. If you've never
Right,
heard it, check out
Hungarian
Chardash.
gypsy music.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Man, you're gonna love it. It's great stuff. And there's a lot of blues feeling on all those tunes.
Yeah.
And so I listened to that, and then I'd come home in the afternoon, and my mom would always have a public radio or college radio on. And there'd often be blues.
Yep. Back in those days, it'd be Robert Cray. You'd hear him all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, as a vocalist.
Well, I remember hearing Robert Cray on the radio.
Yeah.
In Idaho, you know, I mean, that was really wild, just on pop radio.
Yeah. Now, were you? When did you? I know you were you were active in the club scene out in Idaho in the '90s. What was that like? You know, we think of Idaho as probably being, you know, not the epicenter of live music, but what were your experiences out there?
Yeah, Idaho's a really cool place.
You were big city, right? I mean, you grew up in.
Oh yeah, I was in the biggest city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boise.
In Boise,
yeah. That's the only city I know.
And it wasn't even a big city when I was growing up there. When I was in high school, that's when it started picking up.
Okay.
But I still remember when you could drive, like for instance, like when I was 12 years old, I had a job working on a farm, and we could drive like 3 miles away from our house, and there's the farms.
Really? Yeah. Yep.
And down by the river, and you know, I mean, it's a beautiful place. There's a river went right through town. You go fishing. Really lazy days, and simple living, and
the music scene?
Music scene was great.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Enough opportunity for a singer, harmonica player to woodshed?
Yeah. Like for instance, there were a blues club opened up in my hometown called the Blues Bouquet.
Okay.
And one of the owners today just posted a throwback picture of the house band playing with Pine Top Perkins.
Wow.
And was asking if anybody made the show, and I was like, I missed so many shows that came to Boise because I was working 5 to 7 nights a week playing blues in Boise, Idaho.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
now, were you underage? Were you?
Oh yeah.
So you were like 16?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was 16. Well, that's when I was working in Horseshoe Bend, Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, Horseshoe Bend, baby.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you know, all the stories are true about the Wild West, that's for sure. So I was doing that when I was 16.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated high school at 18, I was working full time.
Right. So did you get a chance to see, to have these blues performers, legends, touring musicians sit in with you on those 7-night-a-week gigs? Or
they were playing they were playing down the street at a different club. So there was enough blues lovers in that town.
Right, to support.
I think their club opened up in '94, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. When did you pick up harmonica? Was that?
I picked up harmonica in high school. And although there is a picture of me playing harmonica when I was younger, but I don't know if I really was or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first band, we got our blues band together, and we were gigging at the Grub Steak, and the guitar player is like, you know, we're working 5 sets, man, 5 45-minute sets. You know, long nights. Everybody's got to be dancing and drinking.
That's right.
And, you know, keep the party going. And the guitar player's like, man, I cannot take solos on all of these songs. So you're gonna need to go buy a piano, because I played some piano.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went and priced an electric piano. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. Way too expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
There was the harmonica.
And you got to carry it in and out. Yeah.
And a harmonica right there for $6.
Right.
I bought that harmonica in C, and I sat down at the piano, and I figured out as much blues as I possibly can without knowing anything about the instrument.
Right, right.
How to bend notes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I figured it out, and I figured out how to play blues in many different keys, and showed up to the gig. And,
that is, what a cool story.
I was a harmonica player.
What a cool story. Oh my gosh.
It was great. But I was always a fan of, even though I didn't play the harmonica, I love Little Walter and Junior Wells.
Oh, perfect.
I mean, you know, I saw that harp, and man, I thought to myself, man, I could learn to play Mellow Down Easy and Snatch It Back and Hold It.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's just what I tried to do.
Oh, I love it.
Didn't know that I needed different harmonicas to play those songs. But I really struggled and
with
sweated,
the key is C?
Yeah, because it's not like there's anybody out there that's really going to show you what to do.
No.
Then I got lucky when I was I think a senior in high school. This teacher, Mike Corbett, he was a substitute teacher. And he shows up and he does a talent show. Yeah. And he plays the harmonica.
Oh, wow.
And so
the blues harmonica?
Yeah. Well, he's more like a folk kind of harmonica player, but he did band.
Yeah.
Did band. So I finally met somebody that played the harmonica out there, and so it was good to know him, and he gave me some pointers.
From there, who were the modern harp players that you listened to sort of help you improve?
Yeah, I liked Paul DeLay and Kim Wilson. Yeah. Rick Estrin, Billy Branch. Yeah. And Mark Hummel, James Harmon, Rod Piazza,
oh, geez, yeah,
William Clark, and you know, and I got to see like Lazy Lester and Billy Boy Arnold, you know, and Junior Wells was still cutting records, and so there's a lot of great harmonica players. There really are.
Back in the 90s, there was an explosion of touring harmonica players who had been sort of bubbling under the surface in the 70s, 80s. Of course, you go back to Junior and Cotton and those guys, and Charlie Musselwhite back in the 60s.
Love James Cotton, got to see him many times.
Yeah,
he's one of my all-time faves.
And speaking of all-time faves, as a vocalist, who were some of the vocalists that you caught your ear? Once you were immersed in this gigging blues life.
Well, I got lucky. The kid that I started my first band with gave me a mixtape that he made. And I mean, this is how hip this kid was. You know, this is kids from Boise, Idaho. And he goes to the library and he finds all this blues at the library. And so on the mixtape, I've got Blind Blake and I've got Blind Willie McTell.
Wow. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I've got Freddie King, B.B. King, Albert King. I got Little Walter. Got Junior Wells.
Yeah.
And I mean Tampa Red.
Yeah.
You know, Big Bill Brunsey.
Oh, that is cool.
I mean, it's really a tremendous tape, and so, I mean, I got 90 minutes of some of the best blues singing you could ever get your hands on. And I'm 14 years old.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the other tape he gave me was Junior Wells' Hoodoo Man Blues.
Oh, I love that CD. Oh my God, that
so
CD,
there's
that
this guy,
record.
and there's this dude who's like, man, and I was like, whoa, baby, this is the best.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And when you got into the soul blues, as we like to call it, I know you're a big Bobby Blue Bland devotee.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Was there anyone else who besides Bobby who?
When I was, let's see here, I think I was 22 years old, and this DJ from Seattle, Paul Morgan, gave me his record collection to hold on to. So I don't know, I had like 10,000 records at my house. And going through all of them, and I picked up this record and said O.V. Wright. And I'm like, okay, I'll check this guy out.
Oh, man.
I put that on, and from the first moment, O.V. Wright just got me. And then there was Otis Clay. Trying to live my life without you, babe.
Man.
And I like this guy Clay Hammond, and little Johnny Taylor.
Oh yeah.
And Johnny Taylor.
Both
and Robert Cray. Has always been a big fan of Robert Cray. And Robert Cray is he has a lot of those great Memphis soul blues ideas in his playing. I always tell people that I think it was '83. I'd gone through a jazz phase, looking for something to excite me in the late '70s, and a friend loaned me Robert Cray's first album, CD cassette, and I was taking wallpaper off a room, and I put it in, and the minute it came on, John, I just said, this is the music I've always loved. Where has it been? And I called my friend up and I said, this is great. And he said, well, I've got some other stuff for you. And then, you know, because I was, again, in this jazz phase for 7-8 years, and all of a sudden it was like, well, here's the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Here's a Room Full of Blues. You forgot about them, you know? And it was Robert Cray and that soul music that I loved back in the 60s that I heard in his voice. Well, he's great.
As we're running out of time, just for our viewers to know, you spent time with Junior Watson, touring with him as a vocalist. You spent time with Anson Funderburgh, taking the place of Sam Myers for a couple of years. Those are big shoes to step into.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of fun. I learned so much on those gigs. And learned a whole nother love for different styles of blues and blues playing.
That was where I first came across your name was, oh, look, Anson's back out on the road, and not with Sam I knew, oh, who's John Nemeth? I better get into this guy. And I've seen you play with a number of times with Elvin Bishop.
Yes, I love Elvin.
Doing stuff on the Blues Cruise and in Norway with him. And now, as we connect the dots, you went from Idaho to San Francisco. Now you're in Memphis. How many years?
I think 6 years.
6 years. What does living in Memphis do for John Nemeth and his music?
I think it keeps me right in the loop of the soul of Ground Zero.
Really? Yeah.
I like it. I love the city. I love the people. I love the resilience of the people in Memphis. And the culture is wonderful. The food's great, and
the music scene.
The music is just, you know, it's got that Memphis groove.
It does,
I mean, the whole city grooves like that. And I love it. And I get to see a lot of bands that play different styles as well. and they do stuff from like different parts of the world, but they always sound like a Memphis band doing it.
Yeah. I know since I've been going to Memphis now 20, 25 years, all these new little pockets have opened up all around town with new little clubs, and it used to be you just went down there, you went to Beale Street, you saw it was on Beale Street, and maybe you went to Huey's or something like. Now there's all these other places.
It's exploded,
It has, and that's got to do something for creativity too.
Oh
I
yeah, it's on its way back up again. Yeah, I think the United States is doing great.
Yeah.
I think, also think the internet, the information highway has enabled people to advance faster.
Careers,
and I mean, even if you're new to the country and you don't speak English, you can YouTube every Sesame Street episode and learn how to do it.
That's right.
You know? And this is really great, and I think because of the internet, people were finding Memphis again.
Yes, they are.
And there's so many great records being recorded in Memphis every single day.
That's cool.
Memphis still has all those great studios.
Yep, that is very cool. I know our good friend Doug McLeod just moved there.
That's right.
And I know Michael Kinsman, from San Diego.
Yeah, that's right.
He's planning a move there. And I would have to say, if there was a city I was going to move to, it would be Memphis. I like the vibe down there. I like the way it's come back and resilient. I back in the '90s, Memphis was. I mean, I go back to the '90s. Other people go back to the '80s, but I have seen a huge change in it, and I like it. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, I remember like downtown, in the '90s, it was a way different place.
It was. Yeah.
It's really, it's exploded. It's turned around. I mean, it's still, unfortunately, there's a lot of poverty and things like that.
Like any city.
But the art and the culture of that city is really beautiful.
Good.
And the people were warm and it's great.
Good.
My wife loves it and kids love it.
That's great. Well, John, thank you very much. And for our viewers, I know you're going to have a great time listening to this great mix of soul and blues by one of the top entertainers in the blues, John Nemeth.